Discovering the spiritual traditions of ancient Africa. In this video, we dive deep into the spiritual traditions of ancient African civilizations. We will explore the diversity and complexity of their spiritual practices and beliefs that have influenced the modern world and has given birth to various spiritual movements. To begin, let's talk about the West African Yoruba culture. The Yoruba tradition is based on the beliefs and practices of some African countries located in the present-day Nigeria and Benin. The Yoruba believe in a vast pantheon of deities called Orishas, with their own personalities, legends, and spiritual functions. Practitioners of the Yoruba religion welcome and establish a relationship with the Orisha through initiation ceremonies. These ceremonies often involve offerings and prayers to the Orisha. Followers of Yoruba spirituality practice rituals that serve to strengthen their connection to their ancestors and cultural heritage. Another prominent spiritual tradition is that of the Akan people of Ghana and Ivory Coast. The Akan tradition also emphasizes its connection to ancestors and the importance of living a balanced life with the support of the spirits. Through tales and storytelling, elders teach children about the symbolism, legends, and values of the Akan community. The Akan also practice a popular divination system called the Akan drums, where a skilled diviner communicates with the spirits through a drumming involving language. The drumming is believed to evoke the power of the ancestors and spirits and bring clarity and insight to those seeking wisdom. We will also discuss the spiritual practices of the ancient Egyptians, who were one of the earliest and most influential ancient African civilizations. The Egyptians believed in a vast pantheon of deities called Neteru, who was considered the gods and goddesses that personified different aspects of life, nature, and the universe. The Neteru were believed to have physical and spiritual worlds, and their worship was conducted through temples. Egyptians practice religious rituals, such as the legendary Book of the Dead, which describes spells, prayers, and incantations that help souls traverse the afterlife and achieve immortality. Overall, the African continent has an incredibly diverse and rich history of traditional spiritual practices. Despite the impact of colonization and slavery, many of these practices survive to this day and heavily influence modern spiritual movements worldwide. Additionally, it's also worth exploring the impact of colonization and slavery on African spirituality, which is an important part of the African spiritual story. Colonization and slavery had a devastating impact on the spiritual practices of African communities. European colonial powers deliberately sought to suppress and dismantle traditional African spiritual practices and impose their religions on local populations. Many African cultures lost important cultural artifacts, and manuscripts confiscated and destroyed, and traditional sites were demolished. Subsequently, during slavery, enslaved Africans brought their beliefs and spiritual practices with them to the New World. In this New World, African spiritualities were subjected to oppressive scrutiny, often combined with Christian and Native American spiritual beliefs, and began to change, giving rise to modern African diasporic spiritualities like Santeria, Vodou, and Hoodoo. The resilience of African spirituality after centuries of oppression demonstrates that it is infinitely adaptable, and its universal relevance to people of African descent, regardless of where they live in the world. The legacy of ancient African spiritual practices has survived for generations and continues to enlighten believers and inspire the world.